Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Line and the Liverpool podcast. The Euros are done, Copa America is done, and we've got one of the biggest casualties, which wasn't unexpected, to be honest. Gareth Southgate has left the England job. Were a lot of highs, quite a few lows during his tenure as the England manager. There are a lot of big names that are being linked with the job. But before we get to that, I think we just want to discuss what Southgate did, what he achieved, and where he failed and why this decision to part ways was taken. So, just a bit of a recap. England reached the Euro finals, but they were completely outplayed by Spain, who were deserved winners because they were, I think, the best team in the competition. So, yeah, that's like I think we spoke about this last time also. I think this was the right time for Southgate to leave. But what do you think of it? What are your thoughts on Southgate and the English and the decision with English FA?
Yeah, I think, like you said, the decision is correct, right? Southgate has definitely brought the team forward, and the results show it, right? End of the day, when you look at the results, made it to the finals of the last two Euros, lost pretty narrowly, at least on the scoreline, got to the quarterfinals of the World Cup, narrowly lost out to France. So, there's definitely been a lot of progress. One thing that he's done really well is squad cohesion, right? You see the
Mm.
squad is very cohesive now. They, have each other's backs. People are not infighting. There seems to be, harmony in the squad. That's a very important thing to build, right? Any success has to come off that kind of a strong foundation. So, he's done that well. For me, what he obviously lacked was the tactical nous, right? We spoke about it.
Mm.
That last bit of knowing how to set your team up, having an identity for the team was kind of lacking, and you saw that. He had the same two or three moves over and over again in this last Euro,
Yeah.
bringing Watkins and Cole Palmer on, and basically maybe try to score a goal, sit back, and then depend on individual brilliance. And I think end of the day that can't win you tournaments, and Spain showed that, right? In the Euros, they showed that you have to have an identity, you have to have the courage to play like a big team. So I think that is where he lacked, and that's where a new manager has to come in.
Yeah, so I think one really important facet of his team that he took into the Euros this time was the number of youth players or the players who weren't from the big clubs. We saw Kobe Mino do really well during the tournament. He took in a lot of players from Palace. He took in a lot of players from other clubs which you might not have expected. So that was a step in the right direction. So I actually did think that England could actually do well, especially with the talent that they had. But as you rightly said, during the tournament, it just seemed like Southgate had no ideas. Basically, he was just playing one formation, hoping that things work out. He did have this weird experiment with three at the back or something in one of the games, and then he reverted to what he was doing. So it did seem like he was a little out of his depth now. Like he'd taken England as far as he could. This was
Yeah.
obviously the most success that England had since 1966. But obviously, no big trophy came. And there are some really interesting names that have been popping up regarding the next manager
So
for England.
let me ask you a question before we go through the names, right?
Yeah. Mm.
What kind of profile do you want the next England manager to be? Do you want him to be a win now and win at any cost manager like Didier Deschamps, or do you want him to be along the lines of like the Luis de la Fuente, the Spain manager who had an identity, who played good football? Because England clearly have the ability to play good football, controlling football. What would you prefer?
I would think I would take the former. I want
Hmm.
somebody who can actually get them over the line in a final, in a semi-final, because we've said this before. You need to first win something, and then you can define what you want to do. I know that
Hmm.
there'll be talk about, you set up a style of play,
Hmm.
build it. But with international football, it's not like a yearly tournament, right? You
Yeah.
get to play two big tournaments like a big tournament every 2 years. So there are very little chances of you actually winning something. I know the Nations League is there, but I don't really see it as that big of a competition. So I think what England need is somebody who's pragmatic. They will get the job done. And then after they maybe win a World Cup, maybe they win the Euros, they can think about, let's play more expansive football because they have the winners, like the game winners, the match changers, that X factor in a lot of players. It's just kind of shocking why it doesn't come out to play or it doesn't happen on the pitch, especially during this Euros. This Euros was a terrible one for England. I mean,
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, opinions could be divided, but good to know that you lie on that side of the fence where you
hey
need to
man,
win, you need to
I'm a
be
Liverpool.
practical.
I'm a Liverpool fan. I never thought I'd win a Premier League title in my
Yeah,
lifetime. Jurgen
agreed,
Klopp did
agreed,
that. I'm very happy. And I've
agreed.
seen Jose, and I've said Jose Mourinho got a lot of things right in his first tenure. They didn't play great football, but you guys won, and you guys won a lot of stuff.
Agreed. Okay, let's go through the names then, Adim. I think the first name we wanted to talk about was Eddie Howe because he seems to be the favorite for the betting odds.
I'm kind of shocked as to how. Oh wow, I already made a distinct pun as to how Eddie Howe is on the top of the list. So Eddie Howe did a really good job at Bournemouth, and then he
Mhm,
was at Newcastle. He's at Newcastle still, and he took them to the Champions League.
mhm.
But last season he got found out a little bit. Maybe it was because of the European football, and obviously Newcastle had not been in the Champions League for a long time. I think they still ended up in the European positions. I'm not quite sure, but
Maybe not, because I
maybe
think,
not,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Chelsea picked
So
them just about.
Chelsea picked him the last day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his name coming up is a little strange. I know where, like, the thought process that is there with this because he's an English manager.
Mhm.
He is good. I'm not saying he's not good because he did a stellar job at Bournemouth. He's done a pretty good job at Newcastle, but he's not been in the international fray as much. And I think that's the problem that we will see when all the other names are also spoken about. I don't think Eddie Howe has any international managerial experience.
Yeah, but probably others don't as well. One
Yeah, yeah.
question I wanted to ask was, do you think the England squad fits the kind of football Eddie Howe plays? Eddie Howe seems to play, very high pressing, high energy kind of football, similar to like a Klopp light. Would you say that's correct?
A little, yeah. So his team does have some hallmarks of a pressing team. They
Mhm.
do play some good attacking football. And England have the personnel to basically copy any kind of football that you want to play. They have good attackers, they have good defensive midfielders, you can get them to do whatever you want. I'm still not convinced about Eddie Howe being that person because you need somebody who can command these players.
Mhm.
Gareth Southgate was part of the England under 21 setup, I believe, before he got this
Yes.
job. So he knew a lot of the players that were coming through, and he was somebody who spent his time in that setup. Eddie Howe is still a pretty youngish manager. Can he, uh, take care of or control or talk to people like a Harry Kane, make those big decisions, tell Jude Bellingham to do certain things, maybe tell Phil Foden that no, you're not going to start for us because you're not that good.
I think you make a very
That's
good point. The next England manager has to make some pretty big calls and calls that will be unpopular to, the fan outside or even within the team. I think Phil Foden is an important one there.
Phil Foden, Harry Kane to an extent, uh,
Agreed.
Kyle Walker. Those are three big names
Kyle Walker
already.
should be gone, man. I don't know. Like, okay.
Then there's always the Trent conundrum. What do you do with Trent
Yes.
Alexander-Arnold? He's the
Yeah.
best attacking right back we have, and he can't get a look into the England team for whatever reason,
Mhm.
be it his defensive deficiencies or whatever. You can't play him in midfield. So there are a lot of questions that need to be answered by the New England manager. So I'm not sure about Eddie Howe.
Another thing about Howe is he doesn't quite fall into the category that you are ascribing to, right? He hasn't really won anything big. He doesn't know how to get you over the line. I don't know. Maybe that's going to count against him.
Yeah. So I don't know if England or the FA are ready for another 10-year period where they're just
Yeah.
building a style of play with Eddie Howe or whoever comes in.
That's a great point, actually. I think England have the squad to win in the next 4 years, and they really
Yeah.
need to capitalize. They don't want another golden generation to go to waste because then the wait will just keep on going, keep on going. Okay, I think we can move on to the next one, Adim. I think next one is Lee Carsley. This is somebody who I like. So could you tell us a little
Oh,
bit about Lee Carsley? Yeah.
so all I know about Lee Carsley is he used to be a Everton player, I believe, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's actually part of the England setup. He's, I think, the
Mhm.
under 21 manager.
Yep.
So this seems to fall in line with what they did with Southgate.
Mhm.
So Carsley has been part of the under 21 side for quite a while. He knows quite a few of the players, and he will know a lot of the players who will be making the step up to the senior side soon. I haven't seen a lot of the under 21 play, but this could be a safe bet for England. But again, is it the right man for the job? I mean,
So
I'm not.
here are my arguments why I think he might be a good candidate, right? Because he obviously led the England under 21 to the Euros last time, right? He led a very young squad with a lot of the members who are now part of the English establishment. Cole Palmer was there. You had Anthony Gordon, and so on and so forth. And even in his style of play, he has a distinct style of play. He likes to play attractive, controlling football. So that's the second point. And the third point is, like you already mentioned, right? He's been part of the system. He knows all these boys, right? And I don't think he's going to have a problem telling somebody that, hey, you got to play this way, or sorry, you got to sit this match out. I'm thinking of trying out this new formation. I think he kind of ticks those boxes. And another important box that he seems to tick is the fact that he is kind of a English homegrown coaching talent. That's something I think the England FA is really trying to push, the same as Eddie Howe.
Yeah, so I think the other thing is that Lee Carsley, as you rightly said, is somebody who won't take nonsense. He was a no nonsense player at Everton. It is to be seen what he might or might not do with this England setup. But I'm quite surprised that he is tied with Eddie Howe as the bookies' favorite to replace Gareth Southgate.
I think
Uh,
Eddie Howe, the problem might be you have to get him out of the Newcastle contract as well, right? I don't know how easy that is.
yeah, especially with Saudi Arabia
Yeah.
controlling Newcastle, you don't want England versus Saudi Arabia
Yeah.
at all under any circumstance. Moving on, the third person on the list, which is a surprise name, is Graham Potter.
I would say no, a big no
Yeah.
from me.
No, so I actually like Graham Potter as a manager because of the
Yes.
style of play he had at Brighton. Obviously, things did not work out for him at Chelsea. He's not been in a managerial role since. But as you rightly said, this doesn't really tick the right boxes. I mean,
I think the
uh,
biggest box it doesn't tick is the one that you talked about, right? He is not somebody who can take a team over the line. He has a good style of football. He has good, ideas and tactics, but he's somebody who needs like 5, 6 years, and maybe then he's going to get something over the line because you saw that with Chelsea, with all the turmoil and all the attention, he just couldn't handle it. And with the England job, it's even worse, right? Like
oh
you
yeah,
bench Bellingham and then everybody goes crazy. The entire Real Madrid troll army comes after you and everybody else comes after you. So in an ideal situation, he would have been a good coach because he's also available readily. But I think the fact that England need to win in the next 2 years is what goes against Graham
yeah,
Potter for me.
yeah. So we'll have to wait a few more months to see where Potter ends up, which is kind of sad. Moving on, we have another Chelsea, ex-Chelsea manager on the
Everybody is
list.
an ex-Chelsea manager now. Every manager
This
you
list
name
is
is.
crazy because it's got four ex-Chelsea guys, which is
Yeah.
uh, testament to how many managers you sign and sack. So the next one is Mauricio Pochettino.
Mhm.
I don't know what to say. Go
What's
ahead,
with
man.
that face? Poch is pretty good,
I,
man. So here are the good things about Poch, right? Poch
I,
is an amazing man manager, right? Even better than Southgate, I would say. He's everybody is always happy and the squad is harmonious. He has all these barbecues that he throws all the time for
I
the
want to go to a
players.
barbecue, man.
Yeah, an Argentinian barbecue is going to be delicious.
Yeah.
And also his football is pretty good, right? I mean, it's very transitional, but it's attacking. And I think England do have the players, and you need very fit, physical, technical players to play his kind of football. And England do have that. And he's also somebody who's won things, right? He's won trophies, in his career. So he he may not be the ultimate get you over the line guy, but he has gotten teams over the line. So he might not be a bad idea, and he's also available. So in 2 years' time, if you're looking at the World Cup, if you're looking at your squad, might not be a bad idea. But his style is going to be very transitional, very high tempo, lose the ball, win the ball back, press, and try and score goals. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think they'll go down that route because I think I have a feeling that they'll try to stick to an English manager. But
Hmm.
he's a good option out there for sure.
The next one is even more shocking. It's an interesting choice. It's uh, possibly the best manager we've had in my lifetime. Jurgen Klopp, he's tied at 9-1 with Pochettino. It makes sense on paper at least. Jurgen Klopp's done with managing clubs. He's spent a lot of time with Mainz and Dortmund and Liverpool. He's taking a break. But the only problem I see with this is that he's always been linked with the German job.
Mhm.
And I don't see him taking the England managerial job at all. And one more funny thing is that the English press have had it for him. Like during the last couple of years, they were constantly taking out stuff against him. His infamous 12:30 kickoffs. I think that Klopp's gonna relax a bit. He might just take a couple of years off, wait for the German job to open up. I know Julian Nagelsmann's still there, and he might take up that Germany job because that looks the most lucrative for him. I don't think he's going to manage another club for quite a while. And obviously, international management is a little less strenuous than club management.
No, I agree with you, and I think he also wanted a year's break, right? So that year is not quite up. So I'm not sure whether he's ready to take up another high stress role where the press might be against you from the get go. He would be an amazing choice, right? A top manager. There's no question about it. Good at man management, good at his tactics, but I
England
think
would play
it's
great football again. That's
yeah.
also there. And he'd be like, this manager has won stuff. He's
Yeah,
won stuff
yeah.
as underdogs.
Absolutely. I mean, he ticks a lot of the boxes. I mean, if you were part of the FA, try to convince him, I guess.
So the US tried to convince him. I'm sure you
Yeah,
know. Tim
yeah.
Howard was
See,
all
the
crazy and all.
England squad and England setup is a little more kind of attractive than the mess they have in the
Oh
US
yeah,
men's team. Uh,
100%. No, but this is that. So the World Cup being in the US, Jurgen
yeah,
Klopp being the manager, it would have been
yeah.
something. But yeah, I really don't see him taking any other job apart from the German one.
Hmm.
Moving on, we have one of the first out of the park options. Shockingly, it's Frank Lampard.
I think
Uh,
that's a left field choice there. I don't think he stands a chance because he did a decent job at Chelsea, and we are always forever indebted to him as a manager as well because he came
yeah.
in after Graham Potter and he really stabilized something. At least gave us something to go get behind. But I think he needs to develop a lot more as a manager. He needs to build his skills. He needs to build, all his tactics, the way he wants his team to play before he can be given something as precious as this current England squad with the World Cup coming up 2 years from now. What do you think?
I don't know how his name has come up into this list also.
That's a good one. Yes, exactly.
So at least give the odds, which makes sense. Like if this was 1,000 to 1, then maybe somebody would have bet
Yeah,
something on him. It's 12 to 1. He's above a couple of other names which actually make more sense.
absolutely.
I don't know how this is 12 to 1. I'm kind of lost here.
Yeah, I think the
Maybe
next
I
name makes a
copied.
lot of
I
sense.
hope I
Let's
didn't
let's
copy the data right. I wrong incorrectly, right? I
no,
hope
no.
I was right. So yeah, the next name makes more sense. It's another ex-Chelsea manager, Thomas Tuchel.
Hmm.
Tuchel ball, Tuchaliban, whatever you want to call him. He knows how to win stuff.
Yeah.
He might not be the most popular guy, but
No.
he can get the best out of a team. But the issue I see here is that he always seems to have some sort of problem with the senior management at any
Hmm.
club that he's been in. So I'm not quite sure how the FA will deal with somebody like Tuchel, but he does seem like a safe-ish choice. He's 20 to 1, so he's not like the clear favorite either. But I don't know. What do you think about Tuchel being the next
So
England man?
the positives, like you pointed out, right? Tuchel knows how to win things. He's a pretty astute manager, right? He gets his teams to play decent brand of football and pretty pragmatic as well. They can play good football when needed to and be pragmatic. And he's very good at exploiting, tactical weaknesses in other squads, right? So if you want England to win the World Cup in 2026, he is available and he's somebody who can definitely do it. And on the
But
other
once he
hand,
leaves,
yeah,
once he leaves,
yeah,
he will destroy England completely, right? I mean,
that's possible because he always, has fallouts with the players, with the management, and everything else. But one of the main reasons he falls out with the management is like transfers, and like in the international setup, you don't really
yeah.
have transfers. So
No, so
if
this is a
if you
very
take that
interesting point.
away, yeah,
This is a very interesting point to bring up, which we'll discuss with the final manager also. Is that international football is completely different. You have
yeah,
to play with the squad or the talent that you have within that country. It's not like,
hmm,
oh, I need a left back. I'll just splash 70 million and get someone. No, you need to
exactly.
find somebody for that. And That's where we'll also get into the next manager,
Mhm.
and if he is the right choice or not.
Yeah.
It's Pep Guardiola.
Uh,
Now, this is a very interesting choice because there are a lot of factors that could play into the hands of the FA. Of course, Guardiola is 20-1. So here's something. I was going through some of his comments, and this is what he said to ESPN Brazil in February. Quote, a national team, I would like to train a national team for a World Cup or a European Championship. I would like that. I don't know who would want me to work for a national team. They have to want you like a club. End quote. So England could present this thing. Now, a couple of other things. Guardiola is out of a contract in
Pep
2025, Man
Guardiola
City.
wants to be wooed, man. That's all he wants. So woo me.
Yeah, so the FA can do that. I mean, he's in
Yeah.
England right now. They have the best choice. He's out of a contract in 2025. Man City do have a lot of issues coming up with
Mhm.
the financial irregularities, etc. And the most important thing is that you would expect Pep to take over the Spain job.
Mm.
But I don't think that's a possibility for at least 2 years because of what Spain have just done in the Euros.
Mhm.
So why not England? Maybe England can have a stopgap manager till the end of the year, and next season Pep Guardiola takes over.
See, that to me is a big risk with 2 years to go to the World Cup. If you have a stopgap manager now, and then you ask Pep to come in and you give him 1 year, especially Pep's methods and Pep's tactics, they take a lot of time to kind of seep into the players' minds because he's all about this, extreme positional play. Everybody needs to know their roles, and I don't think. And you said right in England, in international football you don't get time with your players as well to coach them,
Right.
right? So I really don't know whether 1 year of like broken up time with your entire squad will enable Pep to completely download all his ideas into the players. I think that's the only kind of thing holding him back. Otherwise, Pep Guardiola is Pep Guardiola. Everybody is in love with him. Every other manager is his disciple.
So England will win stuff if Pep takes over. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, maybe not this World Cup, maybe a couple of World Cup from now. Yeah, for sure. I
Yes,
mean,
it is to be seen because I don't think Pep's ever taken a long sabbatical from work either.
mhm.
Especially when he's changed clubs from Barca to Man City. Oh, sorry, Barca to Bayern and then Bayern to Man City. I think that's how it was. So it'll be interesting to see who England line up. But from this list right here, right, I really don't see anyone apart from Pep being like the best choice or the most probable choice. I know Lee Carsley is one that you've said makes a lot of sense, and also for Pochettino and maybe even Tuchel. But Pep seems to be the least risky.
Mhm.
So, and England have money to spend. I mean, I'm sure the FA will break the bank to sign Pep. The only funny thing will be is Pep can't complain every July that I need to sign somebody for 100 million or something.
So I think that was the last name, right? Before we kind of
Yeah.
sign off, I wanted to ask you this question. What do you think of somebody completely left field, somebody not even, on this list, somebody like Sarina Weigman? She's the women's coach for the England team, and she took them to the Euros Championship after the longest time. What do you think? Would the FA be up to doing something like that? Appoint a woman as the men's coach?
Not a chance. The FA won't be taking a risk like that. The other concern, obviously, is how she would be dealing with the players, their egos.
Mhm.
We must understand that obviously the women's game and the men's game are totally different. You have people like Kane, Bellingham, Kyle Walker, Jordan Pickford. These are really, really big egos that you need to deal with on a regular basis. And it won't be easy for a female manager to take it up. Not simply because she's not been in the part of the setup for a while. And there aren't any female managers in the Premier League, right? I mean, not even in the Championship. So I'm not quite sure how that might work out. It's a very, very left field choice. It would be incredible if that does take place because I mean, who knows what might happen? She might end up winning something. You never know. But again, I'm not quite sure that's gonna happen. They'll take somebody safe, man. They're gonna make a safe choice
And
for
I think
sure.
she also will, favor her chances with the women because she's already won with them, and she knows that they can win. The men, you never know.
She can keep she can keep prodding, right? She can keep saying that the men are failing, but the women are winning. So that'll
Yeah,
be good for
yeah,
England.
true,
But
true, true.
yeah, it's gonna be an interesting summer for England also. trying to find the right manager because they
Yeah.
really need to find the right guy.
Yeah, and I think
This is
the
chance.
main thing should be win the World Cup, right? Try and make use of this golden generation. Let's see what they do. Hopefully they make the right appointment, and then England finally get over the line after so many years. Okay, I think that was the last thing we wanted to discuss, right? So, as usual, thank you everybody for listening to our podcast. And we are also putting out shorts. Let us know in the comments if you like them. Of course, share these with your friends and like and subscribe. Of course, the preseason is heating up now. Transfer season is heating up. So, we'll have episodes on the transfers, and I think the first few preseason games will also happen over this week. So we'll be covering all of that because,
Liverpool lost the first preseason game, by the way, closed behind goal. So we lost 1-0 to, I think, Preston. But yeah, obviously, preseason, the only important thing is getting back into the shape of things,
Yes.
understanding and learning. And we're under new management. So this season is going to be really interesting because you're under new management, we
Yep.
are under new management, and we're at totally different ends of it. So one is taking over job from a legend, whereas you guys are again building up. So it's
Yep.
gonna be a really, really interesting preseason transfer window, whatever.
Yeah. So, next episode we'll be talking about that. So perfect. So see you everybody, and have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Bye bye.